مرحبا بكم في قناة أطلانتس، قناة العملات القديمة والنادرة. لا تنسوا بالضغط على زر الإعجاب وتفعيل جرس الاشتراك حتى يصلكم كل جديد على قناتنا.
14 Most Valuable Australian Coins Worth Money. Australia is perhaps better known for its natural beauty than its antiques. But in the world of coin collecting, there are some fascinating. So what are the most valuable Australian coins? And what is it that makes them so sought after? 14 Most Valuable Australian Coins. 1. 1930 Proof Penny. If you thought that valuable coins had to be made of precious metals, think again. This humble proof penny is the most valuable copper coin on the planet. It was one of only 6 proof coins to be struck at the Melbourne Mint. 3 are in museums, leaving only 3 available to private collectors. And this particular coin is considered the best of the bunch. According to the sellers, it was handpicked by the Deputy Master of the Mint, AMLE for his own private collection. That provenance made an already rare coin even more exciting to collectors. But others claimed that the coin had never belonged to Le. They pointed out that he had retired from his position at the Mint in 1926, 4 years before the coin was struck. If anything, the controversy added to the coin's mystique. So just how valuable can a copper coin really be? Well, the 1930 penny was never intended for circulation. But somehow a handful of coins still found their way into circulation. Not as fine in quality as the proofs, they can nevertheless command prices of around US $20,000. That's around US $14,000. This penny was in a different league. It was offered for sale by a leading Melbourne coin dealer in 2009. And while the details of the purchase are shrouded in mystery, it was expected to fetch around $2 million. 2. 1923 Proof Halfpenny. This 1923 proof halfpenny came to auction in 2009. And its record-breaking price tag is perhaps what prompted the owner of the 1930 proof penny to put their coin up for sale too. 1923 halfpennies struck for circulation are considerable rarities. Only around 15,000 of them were made at the Melbourne Mint. That compares to well over 1 million pennies struck the previous year. The best quality example known to exist was sold in 2019 for $75,000. But this particular coin is unique. It's a proof coin, meaning it was crafted with exceptional quality and never intended for circulation. Proofs were produced for archival purposes, and in some cases for collectors. And this is the only proof of the 1923 halfpenny in existence. As such, it's highly desirable. When it came under the hammer in 2009, it sold for a staggering US $500,000. That's well over US $340,000. 3. 1920 Square Penny Type 9. The square pennies minted in the early 1920s bear an image of a kookaburra on one side. The penny from 1920 is the rarest and most collectible of them all. The coin was also made in a large number of different versions, referred to as types. The Type 9 was unusual in that the obverse side had the text, or legend, in a square. But all the kookaburra coins are known to have quality issues. The surfaces are often rather dull, with inconsistent tones to the metal. This particular Type 9 specimen was special because of the quality of the strike. It was almost up to the standard of a proof, with crisp detailing on both sides. And the toning on both sides was superior to other examples too, with a warm golden tone on the obverse. It was sold in 2018 by the dealer's Coin Works for a price of $135,000. 4. 1852 Type 1 Adelaide Pound. Adelaide pounds were the very first Australian gold coins. That alone makes them precious and collectible. But the Type 1 Adelaide pounds are more collectible still. In this type, a flaw in the die resulted in a crack that runs through the letters DWT on one side of the coin. Only 40 such coins are known to have been produced. And of those, just 3 were uncirculated, leaving them in pristine condition. This is one of those coins, and for many years it was owned by the American coin collector Mortimer Hamill. It came up for sale in August 2021, offered through the dealer's coin works. It was quickly snapped up for US $600,000. That's about US $410,000. 5. 1953 Proof Perth Penny. The Perth Mint first began striking coins in 1899. At that time, it was a branch of the London Mint, and its first tasks were to create Australian sovereigns and half-sovereigns. Making proof coins was a resource-intensive process in the 1950s. Only around 20 proofs were typically produced. And even proofs of coins that are in plentiful supply in circulated versions can command high prices. That's the case with this 1953 proof Perth penny. It's in excellent condition, described by the sellers as superb FDC. FDC stands for fleur de coin, meaning it's pretty much perfect. It was being offered for sale via Coinworks at US $38,000. That's the equivalent of around US $26,000. 6. 1855 Sydney Mint Sovereign. Australia's first ever sovereigns were produced in 1855 at the Sydney Mint, giving them a special place in Australian history. Over 500,000 coins were struck, but today they have become something of a rarity. Circulated coins in reasonable condition sell for around US $1,800. This particular coin, however, had never been circulated. As a result, it was in the type of condition for which collectors were prepared to pay a significant premium. It came up for sale in 2021 and was snapped up for US $95,000. That's about US $65,000. 7. 1922, 21 overdate threepence. This particularly threepenny bit is the rarest of all Australian coins produced for circulation. It's unusual because of a flaw that's known as an overdate. This is just what you'd imagine. The last digit is A1, over which A2 has been stamped. Both numerals are visible on the face of the coin. How and why this came about has been the result of considerable debate amongst coin experts. Some believe that an old die was pressed into service. A simple punch, they believe, was used to replace the one with A2. Others believe it's simply a filled die where part of the design was filled by grease or dirt. Whatever its origins, the overdate is a rare coin. Only about 900 are believed to exist. And this example is the finest of all, in virtually uncirculated condition. It was sold in 2022 for US $70,000, about US $48,000. 8. 1899 Proof Half Sovereign. This beautiful gold coin dates from 1899. It's a half-sovereign that was struck as a coin of record at the Melbourne Mint. Coins of record refer to proof coins that were struck in the Australian pre-decimal era. They were designed not for collectors, but to record a particular year's mintage or design. As such, they are excellent quality, with crisp, clear strikes and highly polished fields. And because they were produced for archives, rather than the private market, they are difficult to get hold of. This example was sold by dealers Coinworks in April 2022. It made a US $80,000, that's around US $55,000. 9. 1813 Holy Dollar. The Holy Dollar was one of the very first coins to be used in Australia, still a penal colony at the time. The Governor of New South Wales, Lachlan Macquarie, enlisted the help of a convicted forger, William Henshaw, to produce the coins. The colony had already been running for 20 years without any currency. Convicts did not have money, and the soldiers supervising them were paid in promissory notes. But having had to pay 200 barrels of rum to purchase his own house, Macquarie felt it was time for a more practical approach. He imported 40,000 Spanish silver dollars. A hole was punched in the middle of them to prevent them being used outside the colony. The donut-shaped coin was then stamped with the denomination of 5 shillings and the date of 1813. Most of the dollars were eventually melted down for bullion. Only about 300 are thought to survive, with about 200 of them privately owned. This example was sold in the UK in 2017 for £82,000, plus a buyer's premium of 20%. That brought the total price to £98,400, or about US $115,000. But prices continued to rise steeply. In 2022, the Australian dealer Coinworks sold a fine example for a US $525,000, that's about US $360,000. 10. 1813 dump struck with a 1 dies. The partner to the 1813 holy dollar was the donut hole to the dollar's donut. In other words, it was made from the silver cut out of the middle of the Spanish dollars. Its value was 15 pence, and it became known as a dump. The most sought-after examples have an H on the reverse, between the words 15 and pence. The H signified Henshaw, the man responsible for crafting the dies. For reasons unknown, only some of the dies carried his initial. The edge of the coin also has milling, a pattern designed to show if anyone had shaved bits of silver off the coin. This particular example has both the H and clear milling around the outside. It also has a dot above the 3 in the date, another rare feature. It was offered for sale by dealers Coinworks, who estimated it as being in the top 10% of surviving dumps in terms of its quality. It sold in 2022 for a US $45,000, that's about US $31,000. 11. 1813 dump struck with D, 2 dies. 4 different dies were used to strike the 1813 dump. The A1 die combination used in the version we've just seen is actually the most frequently found. They were used for about 3/4 of the dumps known to exist. The D2 dies account for about 20% of the population. The rarest are the C4 and E3 dies. But they are very crude, possibly produced as test pieces prior to production. This specimen uses the D2 dies. They are the only dies where a cross is shown atop the orb in the design. The sought-after H4 Henshaw is crisp and clear. There's also a full stop after the New and South in New South Wales. This is very rare, as the hollow depressions in the die used to form the full stop quickly became filled with dirt. It indicates that this was of the first coins to be struck using the dies. All this makes it a very desirable piece. It was last offered for sale in May 2021, when it sold for a US $165,000. That's about US $115,000. 12. 1860 Aborigine threepence. This 1860 coin saw the first ever representation of an Aboriginal Australian on coinage. It would be over 200 years before it was repeated, when a tribal elder appeared on the $2 coins produced for Australia's bicentenary. The design was sculpted by 2 Scandinavian jewelers, Julius Hogarth and Conrad Eriksson. They had come to Australia to find gold. But having failed to do so, they set up a highly successful silversmiths in Sydney. This particular coin is known as the Marcus Clark, after an earlier owner. It is considered the finest of the 8 1860 Aborigine threepences known to exist. It's in mint state, and proof-like in quality. It was sold by Coinworks in July 2021 for a US $70,000. That's about US $48,000. 13. 1889 Proof Sovereign. This lovely sovereign was struck in 1899 at the Melbourne Mint. It carried the portrait of Queen Victoria commissioned to mark her Diamond Jubilee. And it was produced as a coin of record, an exceptional quality piece intended for the archives. Only 2 coins of record are known to exist in private hands. Before its more recent sale, this one, in brilliant and flawless condition, had last changed hands in 1988. It had been bought then for a US $9,000, considerably above its pre-sale estimate of up to a US $6,000. It was over 30 years before it was offered for sale again. In 2021, it was snapped up for a US $85,000. That's the equivalent of around US $58,000. 14. Halfpenny 1969 Mule. Considered the rarest and most valuable Australian halfpenny, approximately 10 examples of the 1916 mule are known and all have been pulled from circulation in Australia. While the Calcutta Mint was striking the Indian quarter annas and the Australia halfpenny 1916 coins, intentionally or not, obverse dies from both coins were paired, creating the mule. The finds occurring decades after the original issue are met with skepticism by dealers and collectors across Australia and often assign them as fake. The value of a halfpenny 1916 Australian coin depends on several factors such as quality and wear, supply and demand, rarity, finish and more. Value $36,100, $76,000 and $106,400. On October 5, 2019, an Australian copy of this coin, certified PCGS VF35, sold for US $36,000 by Roxbury's auction house. This particular coin was found in 2019 in a tin in a shed on a deceased estate. Another was sold by Noble Numismatics in March 2015, ungraded GVF condition, F. Sheldon, and realized US $64,530. In June 2011, Queensland's International Auction Galleries sold an ungraded halfpenny 1916 I-mule for US $81,550. I-mint mark is visible under the lower scroll on reverse to indicate that the coin was produced at the Calcutta Mint in India. We hope you've enjoyed our tour of the most valuable Australian coins to have hit the market in recent years. These small artifacts are much more than small pieces of copper, silver, and gold. They're miniature works of art, and tiny pieces of Australia's history. Whether you're keen to buy, or just interested in what makes a coin valuable, we hope you've enjoyed learning more about them.